is up, YouTube? Thanks for tuning into this week's video. This week, we're going to be turning a piece of maple that I've had drying for about a year. Let me show you. Here is the piece of maple. As you can see from the writing, it's been a little over a year since I've had it drying, and it was at 50% moisture content on this date. I just took the measurement for the moisture content, and it is at about 12%. So I'm excited about this one. By the looks of it, I think it has a lot of character. It's not going to be a very deep bowl, hopefully a wide, shallow bowl. So let's see what's inside. Welcome everyone. Sorry it's been a little longer than usual this time, but here we are. I'm turning a piece of maple that I've had drying for a while, for about a year, and putting it on the lathe using a faceplate, tightening it up, bring the tailstock up, and then get it to round. I am using a Carter & Son 1/2-inch bowl gouge here. As usual, all the tools and products that I use will be linked in the video description if you want to check them out or see my recommended tools. Starting off pretty slow here because as you can see, the piece was a little bit oval shaped, not exactly round, but that's okay. We get it into round pretty quickly here. And as I'm turning it, I find some, a punky area and some cracks. Nothing too major. And oftentimes that's what gives it character, right? And it's starting to come into round, as you can see. Not quite there yet, but almost. Stopping to adjust the tool rest. And that is a pro tip for you guys if you're just learning to turn, but you haven't started yet, but you're going to. Anytime you want to move the tool rest, please stop the lathe from turning. Accidents can happen that way. It's instinctual, I think, to do the fastest way possible, but it's always best to stop the lathe before adjusting either the height or the position of the tool rest. So the RPM on this at this point was, I think, around 350, which is pretty slow compared to what I want to get it at, but keep increasing it slowly as the piece becomes more balanced. And it's at this point that I'm trying to decide between a mortise and a tenon, and ultimately I chose a mortise, which I usually do. I usually lean towards that way, but for various reasons, I wish I had used a tenon on this one, but you'll see why in a little bit. So I usually stop pretty often and check the progress, looking at those bark inclusion areas. I'm trying to keep as much of those, or at least one of them, as possible to give the piece some character, some added character. It's not my intention to turn all of those away. Still not quite in round, but needing to get the bottom balanced out a little bit. I think you can tell in this shot anyway that it's a little bit out of balance. So flattening the bottom, and then we'll work on the sides again momentarily. Using the skew chisel to flatten, and this is where I wished I had just used a tenon, but I always lean towards a mortise for good reason, but live and learn. When I first started turning, I used to get frustrated a lot that pieces were not always in balance. This is the skew chisel here, by the way. And getting frustrated with them not being in balance even after I thought I got them round. There are many, many, many reasons that a piece can be off balance, and some of it is actually out of your control. So I tend not to beat myself up anymore, to get frustrated, and just do the best I can. Sometimes pieces are finished that were never quite balanced, and that's okay. This piece wasn't that, but it was frustrating for probably 3/4 of the way through because it just wouldn't get in balance. And I stopped and adjusted the chuck and looked for various things that could be wrong, but everything seemed to be working properly. And sometimes it's just the piece of wood. It can be heavier on one side. It could be really punky in one area and be really soft and lighter. So I made the mortise, as you can see here, and the foot, took it off the faceplate, and now using the 4-jaw chuck. I use the Nova chuck. I know a lot of people have given me advice on some of the chucks that they use that they love. Like Runaway is one of them, and Easy Wood chuck, and some others. Keep watching for why I wished I'd used a tenon. Boom, there it is. The mortise, or the foot I mean, cracked, and it's probably because I made it too thin or too narrow, but some Starbond CA glue and accelerator to the rescue, and it does make it a little bit more out of balance, which was frustrating, but my own fault. So working through it and starting the hollowing process once again. So as you watch some of the hollowing process here, I just wanted to mention one thing that I am requesting your help with. I don't know how many of you are wood turners or woodworkers and also have a day job like I do. I fall into that category, and I work in healthcare management, and I have for over 25 years. This year I am working with the Alzheimer's Association, and I am walking on a team that is walking to raise funds for a cure for Alzheimer's disease. It is called the Walk to End Alzheimer's, and if you want to look it up, there is one in every state and likely one in your area. Usually there's a few in every state, but mine is coming up on September 17th here in southern Maine, and I have a link to my fundraising page in the video description. If you can spare even $5 or more, but even $5 goes a long way to support this amazing cause. The Alzheimer's Association I can speak firsthand about because I've worked with them and been involved in their fundraising and other activities for a very long time. So if you would be so kind as to check out my team page linked in the video description and decide for yourself if you'd like to donate, that would be amazing. And even if everyone that watched donated $5, that would raise so much money for this very, very important cause. I have seen how Alzheimer's is the long goodbye, as they say, and it is so true. So I won't go on and on about it, but I am very passionate about it. If you can, check out that link. I would very much appreciate it. Thank you. So here I'm using tuck tape to make a little area to put some resin where a piece broke off. And when I say broke off, it was a punky area anyway, so I wasn't surprised that it broke off. But I am using some Teachable resin. I'm using medium hardener here, and some Eye Candy pigment to fill this area with. Now I know some of you may be looking at the resin I mixed up and saying, "Oh, that's way too much." Yes, it is, but I used it for something else too, so this other thing was a project not filmed. So here it's been over 24 hours and I'm getting the resin area turned to an appropriate thickness and making it uniform. This is an Easy Wood Tools negative rake scraper that you saw me using. And back to the Carter & Son bowl gouge. This one is the 5/8 bowl gouge. Stopping to check the progress. Just taking my time with the resin. I don't want to make it crack or break. And this is some final passes here. Trying to take very light passes. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I generally don't do thin walled bowls. Usually more utilitarian and a bowl that is going to be handled and used. That's the design that I go for anyway. And on to everyone's favorite part, sanding and more sanding. I started at 80 grit and ended at 320 grit. This is some denatured alcohol. This is after all of the sanding to take away any dust from the surface before applying one coat of sanding sealer. I get a lot of questions about what brand of sanding sealer I use. I use the Zinsser's brand. I will link it in the description if you want to check out the exact stuff that I use. So after that's had a chance to dry fully, I use some high grit sandpaper to denib it before applying the Axe abrasive paste. And if you're a longtime viewer of my channel at all, you know that I have a coupon code for Axe and that I proudly support Axe. Check out the link to save some money on your next order of Axe. And this is the polishing paste. This is a new version of the polishing paste, which includes more carnauba wax, and it gives an even better finish. So even if you've tried Axe, try this new polishing paste. I think it's even more amazing. So don't go anywhere just yet. I'm going to be on camera in a moment talking about the finished piece. Hey everyone, so before I show you the finished piece, I just want to say thank you. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you have a chance to check out my Walk to End Alzheimer's fundraising page, I would very much appreciate it. That would be awesome, raising money to help find a cure for Alzheimer's disease. And I want to be in a world where there's a cure for Alzheimer's disease. So I hope you do too. If you can donate even $1 or $5, it would be much appreciated. So here is the finished piece. Have to sand this and put my logo on it, but other than that. So you saw me get into some trouble in the project. This cracked. I probably made it too thin this way, not wide enough. Probably my own fault, but I'm going to be sanding this down, doing the PF Woodturning logo here. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I like the little bit of resin that's there, and I like the darkening here. I think it gives it a lot of character. Oh, the grain is pretty good, not as spectacular on some of the other pieces that I've done, but little, bark inclusion that I kept here. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Tune in next week where we'll be making, I don't know what. So you got to tune in and see, because I don't even know. Okay. Peace out, guys.